Is this thing on? So, the Desire series, it's also going to change up sort of the how I produce my content, the amount of content I produce. There's going to be a reduction in the amount of content I produce, but I still think it'll be worthwhile discussions in various realms. But yeah, this will be the last Wednesday video. So going forward, it'll just be Mondays and Fridays for the videos. And the book reviews will be a little bit more sparse apart. The next two of the Desire series are going to be heavily focused on sort of sexual desire, but more so interpersonal desire, how they go hand in hand to some degree. And then the other sort of non-book review desires will be the types of desires that aren't necessarily related to sex and interpersonal relationships. So that'll be fun. Better than sort of just making it seem like all people, all men, all people care about is sex. Sex is everywhere. No, not necessarily true, but it is a key motivator. It is a key sort of desire, a key want. Is intimacy, but also sex. So this video is called "The Fool for Love," and it's sort of it's the only reason why I'm doing a Wednesday video is because it's April Fool's Day, and sort of I want to tie it into my Desire series. So what is a fool when it relates to love, when it relates to interpersonal relationships? To me, sort of what makes people feel foolish in relationships is when they put in too much effort of what they could sort of build a relationship on, and too much of whatever it feels that too much of whatever is sort of the resources they have more access to, sort of in terms of sort of the intersectional evolutionary side. Particularly women, when they get into a relationship expecting sort of more long-term commitment, women tend to prefer long-term commitment more than men do, but it's not to say that men don't prefer long-term commitment at all, or to say that there are women who don't necessarily care about long-term commitment. I think it's more so that just in general, women care more about long-term commitment than men do. And so by having sex with somebody who is not wanting to commit, makes women feel foolish in those circumstances. But then sort of the reverse is also true for men, but then there's also other factors, but these are the two I mainly want to focus on today, and that is when men put too much, whether it be financial resources or emotional resources, into a relationship that does not lead to sex. And sort of, they say the ethical sort of side is you should still want relationships regardless of if sex enters into the equation. But I'm gonna stipulate that both sort of behaviors are unethical, and I'm gonna try and defend them, defend those positions. But I would say that sort of it is more unethical to sort of signal that you want to commit to somebody only to obtain sex, as opposed to sort of putting in effort and then realizing there's no passion there, and then sort of getting frustrated that you put in effort. Putting in effort is generally good. It's just there is sort of a reasoning that it's unfair to men, or unfair to whatever partner it is, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a heterosexual relationship, and it doesn't necessarily have to be men putting in the effort. All right, so I think it's easier said and sort of easier parsed to sort of call it unethical to pretend to be committed only to obtain sex. That sort of is more universally supported as an unethical behavior, because really you're not being genuine, you're not being honest, and the purpose of it is for your own gain. No one else is gaining from sort of having a sexual relationship that does not involve a certain level of commitment. I mean, you could say that as long as the experiences were enjoyed by both parties, it's fine. But generally speaking, if you are sort of pretending to say, hey, I do want a long-term relationship with you, and then once you have sex, kind of ghost or whatever, it is sort of kind of unethical there. But there is a situation where sort of the sexual chemistry does not actually occur, and so the sex is not considered good. And then in those circumstances, I think the ethical thing to do is to break it off swiftly, and be honest about why you're doing it. Because, overall, still unethical to signal a level of commitment, and then once you have sex, you break things off. And I think for this reason, generally speaking, most Western cultures, there is less of a sort of taboo around premarital sex, because sort of premarital sex is viewed as a way to determine if the sexual chemistry exists, because once you're in a marriage, it's harder to leave that relationship. There's still such things as annulments, even if they've had sex, but it is harder to leave a marriage than it is to just have premarital sex, and that's why sort of premarital sex is more common in most Western cultures. It's a form of understanding and determining if there is passion within the relationship. Now on to sort of the other sort of foolish activity, which is investing into a relationship that does not turn passionate. And this is sort of more on the men's side of things, but women also do that too, where they're investing in a man who may not ever develop sort of attraction to them. And in those circumstances, it is emotionally painful, the dissolution of the relationship. Why do I believe? So most people would say that investing into someone emotionally, financially, it's still going to benefit you eventually, because you're developing a social connection that maybe they could help you find somebody who would help you find that passion and intimacy. My counter would be, it depends on how long sort of the knowledge of romantic intimations were known. Because if sort of the romantic intimations were a surprise and they're dealt with immediately, there's more ethical grounds for saying, oh yeah, that's fine to not give sex. But if sort of someone is signaling romantic interest, and then the person is sort of reciprocating up to the point of sex, they are sort of just leading them on for their own social benefit and their own economic benefit. And that is less ethical to me, because if you are leading somebody on, if you are knowing they have romantic interest without them explicitly saying it, and positing notions of potential romantic intimacy, then what you're doing is you're just basically using their own interest in you for your own social benefit or your economic benefit. And I think a lot of people do that to some degree, and it's not a behavior that's gender specific. I think both men and women do that fairly frequently. Once they know someone has attraction to them, they can sort of use that attraction for their benefit. It's a motivating tool to get things they want out of people. It's a very Machiavellian take, but I do think particularly physically attracted people understand that eventually people will develop romantic interests within them, regardless of their marital status. More often, not frequently, once people are married, it is usually knowing that doesn't lead to further romantic interest. But yeah, the idea is if someone discovers romantic interest and deals with it immediately, that is more ethical than sort of leading somebody on, or just not responding to it at all. But leading somebody on is sort of the more unethical. Not responding, I wouldn't call it unethical, but leading somebody on, sort of showing up until sex, they're sort of romantically interested. It's a tool to deceive people into doing things that they want, that you want from them. And to me, it's also unethical. Not as unethical as sort of lying about sex, lying to get sex, but it's equally unethical. Not quite equally, but yeah. Anyways, these are just my thoughts. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Happy April Fool's Day, and I'll see you in the next one.